You're listening to the NVus Alien Podcast with your host, Heather Woodward, an award-winning psychic, supernatural author, and lover of all things true crime. On this show, we're going to deep dive into topics that don't usually see the light of day. The spooky, the weird, the macabre, the paranormal, and of course, aliens. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, and let's get on with the show.
You want answers. Not motivational quotes pretending to be guidance. You want the truth that changes things. That's where I come in. I read energy like a detective. Your patterns, your blocks, the turning points you feel coming but can't name yet. I translate what the universe has already lined up for you. I'm Heather, psychic coach witch. 25 years of helping people stop the self-sabotage and step into their power. If you're ready to move, text me 25224194447. Real guidance, real clarity. Zero games. That's me, 25224194447. Let's pull the cards and see what happens next. Now put your tinfoil hat on. Curiosity engaged. Let's get into the podcast.
My name is Jason Walker. I am the founder of Montana Collective. We are a renowned paranormal group out of the Fort Smith, Arkansas area. We go all over the country doing investigations at some of the most haunted places in the country. Also, just helping people that reach out to us and send me emails, messages about if they're dealing with something they don't know exactly what it is. So they keep us really busy. And then I'm also a best-selling author. That keeps me busy with that, promoting the book and doing stuff with that, and speaking engagements and things. I do have a main novel that's out, but I also wrote a children's book too a couple years ago, just to introduce kids to what we do in a non-scary way. It's a little further story. It's called Little Ghostly Ghost. If you just picture Casper or something like that, it's along those lines. But my novel, The Gates of Hell and the Demons That Protect It, it's more intense and pretty scary. It's based on actual events.
Do a lot of residences and stuff like that?
We do that locally and just wherever, if it calls for us to be there, or we're lucky enough to have friends throughout the country that we can also refer people to that we trust or we've done things with before. We know they're not going to go in there and be all crazy-fied and calling something a demon or something like that.
That makes sense. What made you want to write a children's book?
I just thought about it one day. It's just be cool to have something to talk with the kids with and explore the paranormal with them. This is a little story that it rhymes. It's a cute little kid story that it's fun. This little ghost goes on adventures with these kids and throughout the neighborhood, and they make friends with it. It's not scary. And then I included a couple of different pictures of apparitions that aren't too scary. Kids can see what we're seeing out there as far as what we believe ghosts look like and what we run into most of the time.
Your book, and we were talking about this the last con I saw you at, but your book is based on a true...
The novel's actually real. It's based on real events, and then of course the Little Ghostly Ghost is just a made up story.
Okay, it's a real experience that you had.
Right. It takes place in. I ran an event that took place in 2003 with myself and some friends of mine. And the stuff we experienced at this location, it's just south of Oklahoma. And the book starts out with stuff I experienced at that location as a kid on up to when we're teenagers and we're doing dumb teenage things. And we experienced some things out there that was pretty intense and pretty crazy. It always stuck in my mind because it's just the events that did occur. It is an actual a graveyard that it's a family cemetery along a river. But I don't want to give the specific location. Like if you're from where I'm from, you'll know. But other than that, it's really hard to find. And most people that are local around the area have had experiences out there. That's pretty cool. You talk to anybody like from where I'm from, then everybody's heard of the place or experienced something out there being out there themselves.
You already piqued my interest because you said it's a cemetery near a river. I've been talking to people who've had similar experiences as you, and I keep finding like the same situations. And the other thing that people are telling me is that they used to do ritual out there, or somebody is doing ritual out there, or it's the local place where people know that people do the rituals out there.
That's what it is. It is the actual location, not known by the actual cemetery name itself. Most everybody calls it the Gates of Hell, and that's what it's been known by since I was a kid, so way before that. And then and being that way because of the stuff that has taken place out there as far as satanic rituals and stuff like that, it actually did happen. It was really big and active in the 70s and stuff around that area. And they do all kinds of things out there. And there used to be It's not now because it's the cemetery is cleaned up. The families really try to distance themselves from that reputation, but it'll never go away because everybody knows. But of course, I guess my book didn't help with that. But at the same time, there used to be a big burnt hole in the middle of the cemetery where they do their stuff, and then there was these big gates that used to go into the cemetery. They're about 13 foot tall, somewhere around there, big wrought iron gates. So that was just intimidating and scary when you go up to the cemetery itself and see that. But like I said, it's next to a river, and then there's a big open field right next to that, and then there's this big tree line. You go out in the deep woods, and that's where they say that there's a satanic church that still stands out there, or there's the ruins of it. But as far as I know, and I don't know any different, this things still could happen out there because these people didn't just go away. The people of the community, you don't know who they are, so that's even more creepy. Because obviously these people live around the area, but you don't know who they are by name. It could be anybody. It could be teachers or principal of your school, the cop, or something.
Did you go looking for the little church that they were talking about, the satanic church?
And yeah, of course.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had been out there multiple times since the incident happened. I don't go out there at night really, but during the day, that's not that bad. But at the same time, yeah, that leads into more of the supernatural aspect of things. It's weird because they say you can only see this church at certain times, like it appears. And I think what happened during this incident, my friends and I were out there that night. I think what happened is I think we got too close to the church. And then that's when we experienced what we experienced with the entities that were out there. I think they were guarding the church because we were way out in the woods. It was around Halloween, so you want to get spooked, scared. But knowing that place had a reputation, we went out there anyways, and we got out there many times trying to scare each other. But that night we decided to, I don't know, take it a little further. It's interesting because you don't really have to worry about experiencing something supernatural sometimes when you're out there, but more what if you run into the people that are actually doing these things? That's the thing. You'd be more scared of a person than necessarily a spirit or entity or something like that. But and in your mind, you don't think you're going to run into something demonic. But when you do, it's a whole different ballgame.
Do you know how the story started out there? Did somebody find people out there doing stuff, or like what happened? Because it seems like it's a very strong mythology out there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. It goes back, like I said, from when I was a kid. But from that, it's always been a place that's had that rumor and that stigma that things do happen out there, and these devil worshippers that live around the area, they do their stuff. And that goes back from when my mom was a kid, and they did the kind of the same thing. That's how the actual story begins in the book, is going out there with my mom and her friend doing the same thing that we were doing, except for when we went out there with my mom and her friend, we were, I was a little kid, but the thing about it is like they were wanting to go out there and scare themselves too. But we were out there during the day, and then it started getting dark, and then that's kind of when the memory really comes up about. It's in the book too, about that we experienced the devil worshippers. They were going from the woods, the tree line across the field towards the graveyard, and there was about I don't know, there had been 7, 8 of them, but they were all in black robes. They came from the woods. My mom and everybody's freaking out. We don't know what's going on. We're little. They throw us in the car and they're getting the hell out of there as quick as they could, but they're freaking out and yelling and screaming on, trying to get out of there, driving down the road. They were wearing black robes. You couldn't see their faces, and they had torches and coming from the woods. So I was like, it's crazy. And I always remember that. I didn't have any other experiences from that to when I was a teenager because I haven't been out there. But I always remember that. So you tell your friends that story. Man, I was a kid. This is what happened. And then of course they're like, let's go out there. So then that's how that worked out. And then it just so happened to be, like I said, in October and Halloween. So I was even add that to it. It started from telling ghost stories, as you will too, actually experiencing some crazy stuff to making it all too real. And then that was really when, for sure, when the paranormal aspect of things hit me. And this stuff, this is actually real, and that's what makes it scary. Versus to what we do now, and our experiences now is different because we know not everything's demonic or things like that. So it can't be hollered demon or we're possessed at every location we go to, like some people on TV.
Not everything is a demon.
Yeah, I get it to a point where they're making a show where it's entertainment purposes. So people, you got to make it where people are going to want to watch you and be dramatic and things like that. And then there's some people that's doing it that are friends of ours that are on TV that they do it the right way. But and then that's not hollering demon every time they're somewhere. But there is another well-known paranormal investigator that unfortunately does that. So
We all know who you're talking about. It's
Right.
not a secret around here. You don't like him, and we have talked about it extensively because I have such an issue with it.
People get a false sense of, unfortunately, a false sense of what we do out there, and everything's a demon. And you get all these church people saying we're dealing with demonic stuff, and the thing about that is anything demonic is very rare, and you don't run across it like the movies obviously say, or like I said, some people on the shows are just like going crazy, demonic this or demonic that, or demon, whatever. But that's the whole point of doing what we do is to find out that there's something after we die, and then how does that work, and how we interact with the things that people that's passed away, and then how we still continue was crazy. So you want to figure that out, but we don't treat people like they're crazy. But unfortunately, we deal with people that are sometimes. But that's one we just back away. So it's not our thing. But then going back to the demon thing, it's just if we think we run into anything like that or we're getting close to that, it could be that we have friends that deal with that that's what they deal with as far as that's their profession and that's what they're well versed in. You don't want to ever act like you know something about something you don't, because then you can make it way worse, and then on you and on the people you're trying to help, or the locations you're at yourself. You might go to a place that's well known, like there's a demon or a demonic entity there. And for the most part, like those places that we have been, we haven't experienced anything like that. But it goes along the lines of you can't make any kind of spirit do anything they don't want to do. They either do things on their time. You don't. You go to the most active location in the country, and the night you're there, absolutely nothing happens. But the next night, it could be just popping off the walls. You never know. But they do things on their time. You ask them to knock on a wall or something like that, and then they're looking at us like, here comes those assholes again, want me to knock on the wall. It's like they get tired of it just like anybody else would.
I've had things like on a spirit box tell me it's a demon, and then I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, anyway, moving on. And then all of a sudden they change their tune. Sometimes I think spirits just mess around to see what you'll say
Yeah,
or just to scare
and
you.
then that is exactly true. We were doing something a couple of weeks ago, same thing, and people were like that were with us were scared because it was saying things like Satan and demon, whatever. But doing this enough and being very seasoned and experienced investigators, we've come across that exactly what you're saying over and over again. The spirit will say those things to try to scare you out of the area
Yep.
because that's their place. They just don't want you there. And but man, if it's demonic or something like that, you're gonna know that it's not just spirit activity you're dealing with. The demons, it's a whole nother ballgame. It's not something like you're gonna hear a noise in the background or whatever. A demon will make itself known for sure because that's what it wants to do. But as far as the spirit, we get it all the time. There's just the thing about it is too is that if you're an asshole in life, you're an asshole in death. That's just
Yeah.
the thing. Your personality doesn't change. So if you're dealing with that, some guys get the hell out of here, man. I'm a demon or something. So, who are you? I'm Satan. Yeah, okay, sure. But because at that point, I would assume that you're going to know the difference pretty quick. We have been around what we call more evil or maybe even demonic activity. There is a difference for sure. For the most part, we're just sitting in the dark talking to ourselves. That's really it.
Yep.
We might get lucky and capture a couple cool things or something, or get some great activity. Sometimes you go into a place, like I said earlier, and it's really active, but especially somewhere new where a lot of paranormal investigators haven't been, because the spirits there are so ready to talk and tell their story. And sometimes there could, especially if there's multiple spirits, you get my partner, she gets emotionally attacked and drained because they all want to communicate with her at the same time. Like they want to be heard because they can sense that somebody can communicate with them. So she gets bombarded that way. But again, that's the difference between that and you go somewhere where they get paranormal investigators and all these hot spots all over the country all the time that everybody wants to go to, like Waverly or something, where they get multiple paranormal investigators yearly. So the spirits might not want to communicate as much because they're always there. Those people are always there. When you go somewhere that's not really been like that, and then the spirits can't really wait to talk to you, and it overwhelms sometimes. But it's cool. It ramps up the activity for sure. But it's definitely to go with that question. And it's the core of whatever what we all do. So I would think so.
That does make sense. If it's demonic, you'll know. I've only encountered it in the last 20 something years. I've only encountered it maybe once or twice where you walk in, you're like, okay, something's off here. It's different. It's just different. And it doesn't have to tell you it's a demon.
In all the places that we've been, especially the more famous ones, I would say that the Haunted Hill House in Mineral, Texas, that's a pretty well known spot. But they have a demonic entity. They say demon, but they named it Toby. We were doing some stuff there, and then we were investigating with Brian Murray and Rochelle Stratton from Ghost Hunters. And we were there. Natalie Jones was there, and I was. So we were doing some stuff, and then we did witness something that's never happened in any other location I've been to, but somebody got bit, and then we all it was screaming. So we go outside and we're shining the flashlight on their arm where they got bit. And what's crazy about that is you could actually see the bite marks forming as we were looking at it. Whether it was demonic or not, I don't know. But something definitely wanted to get their attention, and then they get bit, and it was the first time that I witnessed that kind of thing. But I've had things thrown at me and things like that. But I get a lot of the physical things when we go places, like clothes getting pulled or pinched or scratched or something. But and of course, that's where Rosie gets the more emotional things. It could have been any spirit that was just pissed off, but had enough
Right.
energy to bite somebody. But they claim that there is a demon there, so I don't know. When I was up there in what they call Toby's room, I didn't. You see all these videos of people running out of the place and everything like that, but I didn't experience anything. Me personally, I can't say that I feel like there's a demon there, but there's definitely spirits there. But I don't know if there's a demon there. But I think also with all these other just locations, I did get the witness myself, in my own eyes, to what they call the creeper at Waverly Hills when we were doing stuff there. And that was pretty cool. He didn't do anything like towards me or anything, but he did let me see him. We were in one room doing an investigation, and through the hallway, he was standing in the doorway of the other room. I jumped up, took off running, trying to get over there as quick as I could and snap pictures of him when I saw him. But I got there. I didn't get to capture him on film, but I did get to see him. That was pretty cool. That it's like I'm gonna let myself known to these people, and then I was like, that was pretty cool. That was one of them that I got to actually see the legend. So that was neat.
I love that you run towards it instead of away from it.
When things happen to me, like I want it. People are like they get scared and run or whatever, but to me, when I experience things like that, I want them to do it again.
Right?
I got hit with a big piece of glass at this insane asylum once, and it was hard too. If it would have hit me in the face, that would have been a whole different story. But it hit me in the shoulder, and then of course I'm like immediately do it again. Like you got that much energy to grab something and throw it at me, and then with enough force, it actually hit me hard. Man, I'm like, man, that's cool because I was like, that's the whole point of what we do. It's
Right.
like you ask people, you ask these spirits to communicate with you, give you a sign, and you get the knocks or the noises or whatever. Sometimes even the voice, but and it scares the shit out of people. And I'm just like, that's the whole point of why we're here. Like, we want this evidence. Man, can you do that again? What you say, or can you make that noise again, or something? Because I know that it takes a lot of energy for them to do those things. But I figured, like, obviously they're wanting to express themselves in some way, whether they're pissed or excited or whatever it is. But and that's when if you feel comfortable with it enough, but to allow them to use your energy if you don't feel like it's gonna drain you much. But and there have been times where I've done that just to get more activity, but it doesn't scare me like it does other people. It is scary sometimes, yeah, for sure. And that's again, that's why you're there. You want to experience those things and try to capture them on film or on EVP or anything that you can get it because you're trying to gather evidence and answer the question.
I think I'm more curious as to why it did it. If it's throwing something at me, I want to know why. Okay, why'd you pick me and what's going on there?
Yeah.
Are you, what, do you not like me or are you just because I'm paying attention? What's the vibe here? I always want to know. So I always try to replicate stuff too, but people think I'm weird.
It goes back to like the Conjuring movies. You look at the way they do it, and that you got Ed Warren going down to the basement because that's where the activities happen. Everybody's, yeah, probably shouldn't go down there, but that's where things are happening. It's like you need to
Right.
go down there.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't necessarily want to or put yourself in those situations where something bad can happen to you, but at the same time, if something bad can happen to you at any time during the day, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, they have a little backbone sometimes to do it and put yourself in that situation and get past the really kind of the intense scariness of it in a way, but and put yourself face to face with these things because it's the only way that you're going to find out what you're looking for. If we're at these locations, we didn't go there just to make a 12-hour road trip somewhere, just because. So I'm at these locations. Yeah, I'm going to use every bit of my time to at this place to figure it out. But at least that's what I'm trying to do. But and that's the difference between going to somewhere that's already been investigated lots of different times to residential stuff because the residential thing it opens you up to something that's it's more unknown as far as what you're dealing with because It's not somewhere somebody goes investigates all the time. And they call us, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I figured I want to talk to an expert in these things, these ghosts or paranormal." And that's another thing that I'll correct people on is that there are no experts in the paranormal field. That doesn't exist. It doesn't matter if you're on TV or you're how long we've been doing this or whatever. We're doing interviews for magazines or TV shows or something, whatever we're doing. But if they label us paranormal experts or whatever they put the little bubble up there between our name or whatever, then if it's able to be changed, I will make it a point to do that. Or if it's something they do and they do edit it later on and add it, there's nothing I do about that. But we do say that we are very experienced and seasoned investigators. We're not experts in anything paranormal. Everybody in the field is always adapting and learning from each other, new techniques and things like that. It's always changing. It's not like you could be I'm a doctor of the paranormal. There's no doctorate. There's places you can go that will help you along the way and make you a more seasoned investigator. But even if somebody's starting out, you got to start somewhere until you get out there and eventually you become where we're at. We like to help people along that way too.
That makes sense. I saw a post a couple weeks ago that sort of just, I was like, whatever, okay. Somebody had posted that you can't use K2 meters because they're open circuit. And you can only use tri-field meters because tri-field meters are better because they're better equipment and because they're not open circuit. And then they get these newbies coming in going, oh, so what? I can't use K2s. What should I be using? And I'm like, what? And I did say something. I was like, look, none of the equipment that we use is actually made for ghost hunting. We're stealing things from other fields and then saying that they're ghost hunting equipment. There's no such thing. We made it up. Every piece of equipment that is out there is theoretical. So how can you say that one EMF detector is better than the other? One is $300, the other is $40. Guess what people are going to use? So why are you kind of being elitist right now? Nobody, and most people don't have the money to buy a $300 tri-field meter they don't even know how to use. But I was just like, what? It's this idea that we are all experts at this because why? We have no idea what we're doing with equipment 90% of the time.
That's exactly right. We're lucky enough to have all the gear that you see on them use on TV. And it is very expensive. It really is. But the thing about that is that you totally do not have to have any of it. And it's cool. It's cool because you're seeing the guys on TV saying, "Man, I want to try that," or "That looks really cool," or they're getting good results doing that with that. But yeah, for sure, it's interesting because we use K2s all the time. We use that kind of stuff. But the thing about it is that from the SLS camera to the Ovilus device and all those things, and the tripwire, we have all that. But the thing is that when people ask like, how do I get started? Is I say, man, use your phone and a flashlight. That's all you need. And they're like, how's that? It's because especially with phones nowadays, like the cameras on phones are like really good, and the mics and the audio is really good on phones. And of course, the flashlight because you can one use it for communication, and two, and what we do is during the nighttime most of the time. So you want to make sure you're safe and don't fall when you're moving around in the dark. But our equipment is people ask why you guys investigate during the nighttime all the time. It's one, there's the dramatic effect of it for sure. It makes it more spooky and scary. Two is because that's when our equipment works best is at night because we use indicators and things like that are sensitive and we use a bunch of light stuff to
The blinky
communicate.
lights.
And then you explain that there's absolutely no difference, none whatsoever, between night and day as far as spirits go. They're doing the same things during the day they're doing at night. It's just we do it at night because it works more with our gear. But you can do the same thing during the day. It doesn't matter. They're still doing the same stuff. They don't go away.
Yeah, I've
They're
had
not.
way more scary experience. Some of the most scary experiences I've ever had has been at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where I've been in a house and I was like, I'm gonna leave now. The one only time I was ever spooked was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I need to step out for a little bit. But
And
yeah,
that is for sure. That's exactly right. You do remove yourself from those situations to just revamp yourself and refocus.
yeah.
But it's not that you're leaving because the spirit scared you out of there. It's like, no, I'll be back. And
You just
like,
need
you
a
just
minute.
got
I
me
need a
for a second.
minute.
Yeah.
You got me that time. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, as far as the gear, like it's really cool to have for sure. But again, you can doing this in this field, you can spend an unlimited amount of money on stuff, and just it keeps going and going because you're like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But it is neat to see the different things you can do with this stuff. But yeah, you just keep it old school. My partner, she uses dowsing rods a lot. It's a
I
very
do
simple
too.
thing. Yeah,
I
and
do
that's
too. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of activity that way, and if you, especially when you learn and know how to use them, then it's a very effective tool and it's very cheap. It's cool, and it's a flashlight. Like I said, you have flashlight communication, but some people think you just gotta have that stuff because, and if you don't, and then you suck. I can't afford that. I'm not good. I'm never gonna be a good paranormal investigator or anything like that. So no, dude, you don't need that stuff. But we were doing an event this past weekend at a con, and these kids come up and they're teenagers. They're really interested in asking us questions about how our stuff worked that we had on our table, different gear. And then they're talking about they just formed their own little paranormal group. And I was like, that's really cool. What do you guys call yourselves, or do you have a name? And they were still new at it, but they didn't. They just went out there and they were trying to communicate with stuff. And they're like how to use different gear and what the results are and like, that kind of thing. And it's really cool. There's three of them, and I actually gave some of our stuff to them because we want to encourage and help people that are trying to, especially that are getting into it for the first time, and they might not have the guidance or be able to ask people questions that actually do what we do.
There should be no like elitism when it comes to what you can and cannot afford. And the other thing too is I started investigating in 97, and half the shit that is out there now didn't even exist. And every few years like an inception of new equipment coming in. And if you just keep buying and buying, that's all you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. I think it's really important just to find the things that work for you and just try new things too, but stick to what you know and then add to it and try things. And if that works, then great, add it to it. But you don't have to always be on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and it's actually true. It's funny because going back to the Haunted Hill House there in Texas, we were doing this investigation. My partner and I were in one room. Rochelle and Brian were in another part outside what they call Toby's room. We're all upstairs. And then Rosie she's blindfolded and she has the earphones on, and we have the spirit box going. She's doing that, and then we're sitting there asking questions, and so I'm asking questions and she's answering, and then we're like just doing that. And then Rochelle comes in there, and she comes in our room and she sits down. And she says, "Hey, how long have y'all been doing the Essence method?" And we're like, "The what?" We have no. What are you talking about? What's the Essence method? She goes, "What y'all were just doing." It's like, I have no, what do you mean? Explain what you're talking about. Yeah, we didn't know anything about what the essence method was. We were just doing something we knew that worked in the past that we've done before ourselves. Had no clue that's already been a thing. So we just know that hey, this works. I don't know why, but I ask questions and the spirits tell Rosie on the spirit box, and of course she can't hear or see me. She has no idea what I'm asking. So you get that real time answers for stuff that she has no clue what I'm saying. It's
Right.
pretty crazy. We're like, hey, that's so awesome. This works. We're gonna do this like all the time. And Rochelle was like, yeah, that's called the Essence Method. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I was like, and that has actually become one of our more requested things that we do during our live stuff because we've done it so long, so we get great results out of it. We've listened to Spirit Box for so long that we can determine what's being said to them most of the time. Sometimes you can't, but when you first start out, you can't determine what the hell's being talked about, like with those things. But when you be able to actually focus in so much after doing it so long, and especially with the headphones on, it helps a lot. But for whatever reason, I get cussed out all the time on the spirit box. Like they pick up on that. I don't know why, but they do. They cuss me all the time. They say everywhere we go, every single time, they always say Rosie's name, which is just weird. Like, it's so crazy how that happens. But the Essence method, man, it's like we're just like that's so crazy that this has been a thing. We were just been doing it just because it works. We had no clue. We just stumbled upon doing that one day. And Rosie's like, hey, what if I blind myself inside myself and put these headphones on for the spirit box? What if you ask questions and then you can validate it that way because I'm not gonna have any clue what you're saying. So if you could get answers to what you're saying, that'd be so cool, right? It was like, yeah, let's try that. So we did, and that's no clue that people were doing that before us, but we're like, yeah, that's cool that it was already established thing and people were doing it. So, yeah, that's awesome. And people love tuning in to when we're doing that. Except for one time we were doing it and let me go back. Our investigations, we try to do everything live as it's happening, when it's happening, if we're able to, if we can go live, there's cell service and all that kind of thing, because I don't like shooting a video and editing it and putting it out there because people can say that you're fake and stuff or whatever. But if this happened in real time, they're seeing stuff when it's happening at the same time you are. It's really harder to fabricate things. It keeps us more genuine that way. But we were doing some stuff in live, and that live aspect of the thing. Man, that's the thing. You don't know what's going to happen live, so it's pretty cool when things pop off. And then again, like I said, well, yeah, you're just sitting in the dark talking to yourself, but then that's what's happening. But it's just adding that element to it being live is really cool. we tried doing things live at the sanitarium we were in one time, and this little kid came through. His name was Joshua, and then Rosie was able to establish a conversation and a relationship with the little ghost, the ghost boy there. It was sad, but it was really cool at the same time because you can get that validation that this is something real. And then, but when you're messing with kid spirits, it's crazy. It's a different energy and a level of awareness in a way that you got to be more sensitive to these little kids. It's hard sometimes because knowing you're talking to a little kid that passed away it's just sad, but it is cool. And then every time we go back to that place, man, it's so crazy. That kid gets so excited to talk to Rosie. It's like she's just been waiting. Let me tell you about what's happening. I've been playing with this or whatever. It's like it's so cool. But yeah, they just carry on doing what they do, and then sometimes you get to document it along the way. It's cool.
That's really neat. I remember back in the day, there was Frank's Box, so I played with Frank's Box for a while. And then, do you remember Radio Shack hacks? I know it's funny because people are like, "Oh yeah, have you used this spirit box? Have you used that spirit box?" I'm all, kid, I used to clip the radios from Radio Shack by myself and make little boxes myself. This because people were always telling me like they're really hard to listen to. I'm like, they're not hard at all. This is way better than what I'm used to.
I know it is that way. And then what's crazy is what I was going to say about doing the Essence method is that except when we're live on TikTok, because TikTok goes out to so many other people across the world when you're live, and people just jump in and out of it, but just seeing somebody live, they pop on there, whatever. But I didn't think about it until somebody brought it to my attention. If you just pop on there in the middle of the Essence method and your girl is on the floor, blindfolded and headphones on, it looks like she's kidnapped because it's my little flashlight on her, and you just see her in this dark area, nothing, and the people are freaking out, like, what is happening? And I've never thought about it that way. Yeah, man. Yeah, she does look like a kidnapped business, doesn't she? So people are freaking out. Y'all need help? Where you at? What's going on? Let her go and all stuff. Like, oh my God, no, no, we're not. There's no kidnapping. It's like I explained to people over and over during the live what was happening. Again, that's people tuning into your live that's not in the paranormal, or they don't have no idea that it's just some Joe Blow out there to come across your live and they're looking at what's going on with this kidnap victim. And it's like, I just never hit me that that's exactly what that would almost come across as. We're like, oh man, shit. Yeah, that's crazy.
They're like context.
But
I wanted to get back to your book because I've had a slew of people tell me almost exactly the same story. It's very close to yours about seeing something in the forest. There's always a cemetery nearby, water, a lot of activity there, Bigfoot seen around that area too, maybe UFO. So there's like a lot of activity that happens.
yeah, it does. Water is that way. Is anything that's around the body water, it helps. I find that doing different stuff over the years is that more of moving or running water is more helpful than just a stagnant place like a pond or something. But of course, the river is always moving. It's got big currents and things like that. But instead of moving, adapting water, I think that does ramp up things for whatever reason. I think it is energy comes from it. I think if there's already something established there, as far as it doesn't have to be a negative, it can be positive too. But just whatever reason, moving water seems to be something that amps up activity, and that's also something when you're doing, if you get lucky enough to do this, to do it while you're doing an investigation, a storm comes. So that's really good. It really does amp up the energy because that just fills the air with more environment with more electricity, and they're able to tap it. And it really does help them communicate during your investigations. And that's cool when that comes about that you just happen to be doing something like that and a storm comes. But yeah, for whatever reason, water is just that element that helps push the paranormal or whatever it is they gravitate towards as far as from it. There's something there energy wise, but I do notice that a lot more when there's, like I said, when there's running water.
So ritual is another thing. Either people do rituals there or there's rumor of ritual there, which you already have. But what did you see?
When it goes back to, like I said, when I was a kid, seeing the devil worshippers themselves. And they've always been, like I said, the rituals, but always been hearing throughout your life that there's been sacrifices out there. That's animal sacrifices for sure, but like there's been people report that people's been killed out there, like people, human sacrifices. But as far as people finding the bodies or anything like that, I don't know about that. But I do know if you tossed the animal in that burn pit with a big fire going, it wouldn't really matter. You wouldn't find a lot of evidence afterwards. But the evidence of it actually happening and being there, you can see because there was a big burnt spot like there. That's where they did it. So you could be like, man, you can see that. So it happens. It takes place in 2003. Went out to the cemetery and we're going through there, and it had to be almost 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And again, like I said, being stupid teenagers, and nothing's getting scarier and invincible and all that BS. So like we go out there, my buddy and I, we both had guns, and that's just because of the rumors of the people out there. Stupid anyway. Put yourself in that situation where you even do that, but when you go out there, there's no trespassing signs or anything like that on any part of the land. So we went to the cemetery, spooky anyways, and of course we're trying to scare each other and say, oh, whatever. We're just saying things along the way, trying to scare each other. My buddy's girlfriend was with us, and the has been married since. But anyways, so we go through the graveyard, we go on the other side of the back side of it, and there's this fence. We go through the fence, and then we're in the pasture, we're in the field. And then what's crazy about that is, for whatever reason, there's like these trenches throughout this field every so often. There's little trenches, not very deep, 2 or 3 foot deep, something like that. So we're just carefully crossing to make sure we don't fall in the trenches. So we make our way through the field. We get to the tree line, and they're like, man, okay, we made it this far. But yeah, I don't know. We should go any further. It's crazy, scary out here. Yeah. Especially, though people are out there, but you're being watched or anything. But so we're like, oh, we made it this far. Might as well go see if we can find this church everybody keeps talking about. And then that was dumb in itself. But we did it anyway. We kept moving through the woods, and then we had our flashlights. And then start hearing something rustling in the bottom of the woods. And we're like, man, what is this guy getting closer? So we're like, oh man, this is crazy. So something's coming up on us. And then like, kill your flashlight, turn it off. So we're standing there in the dark, and then it kept getting closer and closer. And we're like, okay, man, we got to figure out what the hell this is. And we're just frozen where we're at because it just keeps getting closer. And then eventually it gets like almost where it's right up on us, but we're not seeing anything. Like, man, that's crazy. So we're like, okay, man, screw it. Let's just turn our flashlights on and see. We got to see what this is because it could be a person. So we did. We're flashing, trying to figure out what's going on. And then we finally determined exactly where the noise is coming from. And by that time, it was just right on the other side of a couple of trees. So we're like, oh man, there's somebody standing on the other side of those trees. What do we do? So it's a guy. I don't know. I guess we just deal with it. I don't really know. But anyways, then all of a sudden, it just almost like it was running towards us, and we're flashing. We're still not seeing anything. But then we see some leaves move, and it gets like right up on us. And out of the leaves is this stupid little possum. This little possum was scaring the shit out of us the whole time. This little possum. Like, oh yeah, so we're breathing. And we're like, man, if that's the scariest thing that happens, we're good. And I was like, yeah. So we're like, you want to keep going? I was like, yeah, let's go find this church. We're already like hyped up. We move a little further, and then I catch something in my flashlight, a pair of eyes, and it was on the like ground level. And then I was like, and they were yellow. I was like, oh, there's another animal. I was like, okay, no big deal. And then it raised up a little bit. And then I noticed these eyes were like 3 feet apart. They were wide. I'm like, man, what the hell is that big out here? It's like, okay. But then I was like, whatever it is, it's not that tall. So I'm like, not really concerned about it. Like, maybe it's a hog or something. If it charges me, I'm gonna shoot it. So whatever. But then all of a sudden, it raised up like from it was about 2, 3 feet raised up, and all of a sudden it was like 13 foot tall. It's just out of nowhere. But you couldn't see a body. It was so dark, like whatever was darker than the dark. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, there was two more. They came up on the side of it. So same height. We were far enough away you couldn't see the body, like I said, but you can definitely see the eyes reflecting, and then they were in the same distance apart. And when you're talking like 3 feet apart, that's a big whatever it is. And then when it raised up that high, we're just like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what. I was speechless. Like we stood there, and my buddy same way did not say a word. And I was like, man, I nudged him. And I was like, you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. That. And he's, yeah. What the hell is that? I was like, I have no idea, dude. I don't know if we're not going further. Like, we're not going any further. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, obviously these things are huge, whatever it is. And then my mind at that time didn't go to, oh, this is a Bigfoot or something like that, because at that point I wasn't in the paranormal community as far as doing stuff. So I'm not trying to determine what it is other than I can't figure out what it is other than because I can't see it. I can't see the body. And I just know it's that tall. I'm like, what the hell is that tall? Nothing. I'm like, what? There's nothing that tall. And all of a sudden you can tell that, like I said, the eyes were so far apart that whatever it is, what this was massive. So then out of nowhere, this just, I don't know, like god awful sound comes out of them, or at least one of them. Something I've never heard before in my life. I don't know what it was, but it like goes from you're concerned to you're way past that. You just like you feel like your bones are gonna melt. What the hell? These two on the side, they take off and massive footsteps. You hear a massive footstep. You're like, what the hell? The one in the middle stayed completely still. It's just staring at us. Then it dawned on me. It's like, hey, these things are surrounding us. Yeah, this is. Yeah, no, I hit my buddies. Dude, we got the hell out of here. We gotta get the hell out of here. But we didn't already notice that our friend took off. She left. She's screaming, running already. We're just not reacting yet. So um, we take off running. We go back through the trees and we're hitting the branches in our face and all that stuff and get scratched up all over the place. But then, like, you could hear these things on the sides of us matching our steps. And something that big, too, is going to be able to, it's going to be able to outrun you. I mean, something that massive. I'm thinking like I'm not gonna be able to outrun whatever the hell this is. But I'm turning to look back and the one in the middle was gone too. So I'm like, okay, now they're chasing us. But I was just thinking, man, it's like there's no way that we can outrun whatever this is. It's too big. We go through, we're running through the field. Remember those trenches are there, so it was very hard to get through the field back running full speed anyway. And then I made sure that my friend and his girlfriend were in front of me, and so I can cover the rear in case these things run up right up on me. I was going to shoot them, but we get back. We're able to get back to the cemetery, and then as we were coming back to the cemetery, there was one of these things already in the cemetery, standing there watching us. And you have to go back around the whole cemetery to get back to where the vehicles were. And then you got the one in the cemetery. He doesn't chase us or anything. He just watches our every move all the way to the vehicle. You can see that something was solid there, and it was really black, but you still see the eyes. It was yellow. And then we were able to obviously get the car to leave, or I would be here. It's hard to describe exactly what happened without giving everything away in the book, but that's more or less like the short version of it.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think that I think we were just too close to the church, and then those things are there to protect it. I figured if they wanted to kill us, they would have, because there would have been nothing we could do about it for one, and then two, they were so massive, and we couldn't. There's no way you could outrun them unless they wanted you to get away. They let us leave.
That's an interesting thing. You saw three, which is new, but every story I've heard so far, they charge at you. They want you to leave. I'm not sure if they want to hurt you, but they want you to think they're going to hurt you. Some people don't see the eyes, some people see red eyes, some people yellow eyes, and then some people see it with antlers.
And I have a feeling if we were able to see the body, I think it would have probably come out like that. Something massive with these big, like horns or whatever, like a Wendigo or something you're picturing.
Yeah.
His eyes were far apart, and it just looked like when you hit a deer with your lights, and it just you can see their eyes, and then it goes up to 13 feet tall somewhere around there. You're like, nothing is that big. What the hell is that big around here? You can't comprehend what you're looking at when you're looking at it, but then you can't figure out why you can't see the body of it when you're shining your light on it. You can't see the body. Like you can see it, but you can't. I'm like, man, that's just okay. This is a whole different thing. This is something we don't do messing with whatsoever.
Did you see any lights by any chance? Like any orbs or lights?
No, not that time,
Okay.
but when we went out there to do an investigation, again, I didn't want to, but we were out there and we did experience some things like that, some orbs, and I think
Really?
I think there's some pictures of them. In my children's book, it's interesting because I said it's not too scary, but it's not. But we did include a picture of an apparition in that book that was captured out there when we were doing an investigation. Rosie kept swearing up and down. She's hearing a witch. She's yelling. She's saying that she was in with Satan. And I'm hearing stuff, but I'm not seeing anything. I can faintly hear so like a woman yelling, but like she's saying, she's hearing it like real intense, like it's right on us. To me, it seems like it's way far away. But taking pictures and stuff, I was able to capture, I think, what she was talking about. That adds a whole other aspect of to that area, a witch. And we don't know anything about a witch being out here. But again, that land, it's not about the where it's the land itself. Like it could have been anything on that at any point, whatever point in time. There could have been anything up there. That could have been like maybe where the start of the rituals like where it originated. Maybe it was a witch doing stuff up there in the middle of the woods. I don't know, but it was the first time that we encountered anything about a witch out there, and sometimes it was interesting because it had nothing to do prior to what we experienced.
Are there any stories of ladies in white or hitchhiking ladies in that area by any chance? Like somebody getting hit in the road?
Well, it's interesting you say that really because it's not anybody hitchhiking, but it's funny because the picture of the apparition is wearing white.
No.
And
I'm telling you, I'm collecting these stories and there's so much crossover. My last question for you, is there any kind of nuclear power plant or nuclear facility near where you were?
no,
No.
but
Okay. But
there
there's
is.
always a but. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, the but is that river right on the other side of this location. There's a Coast Guard station. Two on the back side of that is a big locking dam and a lot of moving water. And then they use that for one to generate electricity and two obviously to let boats and stuff and barges through the area. Rather than bend from that, the river turns and that goes into the dam. So we're not far from it at all in that location.
So it's
There's a nuclear.
electricity there though.
Yeah,
It's the same concept. Using
right.
moving
Yeah,
water to create energy.
yeah, and then that's just so happens that yeah, that dam is there. But that's very interesting that it is at that location, but it's not far. It's really
Well,
not.
within
But
an I'm finding it's within an hour. So within 30 minutes to an hour from where the
oh
location is.
yeah, it's way closer than that. It's weird that they would allow you to leave the location and not be harmed. And two, a Wendigo for sure, with the reputation and the stories you hear about them, are not going to let you out alive. It's interesting because they associate the demonic with the location, with the history and what's happened there, as far as the satanic people and all that stuff. But I don't know that those things, again, like I said, I just don't think they would let you leave the place. That's kind of odd in a way because it goes against of everything that you hear or gather information over the years about what these things are about. They're not about letting you leave or not letting you like escape with their not being not without a scratch. That's not really been their MO over time. The whole goal is to destroy you and take your soul. But however that happens, but they're doing something like, are they demonic? I'm still leaning towards that. But what if that wasn't their assignment? Like their assignment is to protect that church. This is what you do. You don't care about other. You don't do this. You're not killing people. You're not drawing attention to this area. You're not stacking up bodies for people come and look for or investigate or find our church. You keep people from it and you make them get the hell out of there. You scare them out however you can. But we're not killing people, guys. We're not killing people. Okay, get that through your head because to me, there has to be some sort of something like that because the instructions these entities are given, you're not to kill these people and let them know that you don't come out here and mess around, which is weird because if you think about it, like, again, that's not what they do. But maybe that there's different hierarchy of these entities that they're taking orders from somebody else. This is their job.
They're being
Yeah,
territorial and they're definitely treating you like prey.
yeah, for sure. Because it's like almost like a military tactic in a
Yeah.
way. You look at it as what's the word I'm looking for? Not like guerrilla warfare. It's different. It's not a uniform thing. But at the same time, it is a hunting tactic. Like what you're saying, you're going to surround your prey, but you're going to make it well known that hey, we're surrounding you, but you need to get the hell out of here. The thing is to not bring into something I don't know is real or not, but you do use a vampire lore in a way where the vampires are sleeping. They have hellhounds that protect them and watch over them in their territory while they're asleep, while they're in the coffin. So it is something like that to me. It is something's there, and these things are there to protect whatever that is, whether it be the church or whatever it is that is there. But that's your job. This is dormant. You're supposed to stand and watch and make sure nobody comes over. But you use it that way. But I don't know. I don't know if it was. Again, I've never found a church. I've been out there in daytime, so I've never seen anything. But again, one of the parts of it is you can only see it at certain times. But I feel like that night, wherever it was, we were close. But if you're thinking about that, like I was said, your mind goes to what the hell is that big? What is that massive? What could be? So Bigfoot would be that big, but you would think.
But so it's something
Um,
else,
right,
right?
and exactly that. But I think it had Bigfoot characteristics to it as far as what we saw and what we heard, because you could hear and almost feel the massive footsteps that were around us. And like it was moving through the woods like nothing. And you could hear the stuff breaking in the branches and all that stuff. And then I'm 6'3". I'm a big guy, but whatever that was, I wouldn't have had a chance. But that's the thing with a Bigfoot. When you encounter a Bigfoot, most of the time they just want you out of their territory, so they try to scare you out. But if you had an encounter with it, it was one on one. You're not going to win. It doesn't matter how big I am. But
Yeah.
those guys are, say 10, 13 feet tall. You're talking about the weight and the massive. I mean, you'd be a ragdoll in those things. But that's the thing. They're not going around. Bigfoot aren't going around killing people. They could, but they just want to be left alone. And then they want you out of their area, and they will scare you out. They'll try. But that is one thing that's being not tech collective. That's one thing we do. Bigfoot is under our umbrella of things we investigate. That's why our logo is what it is. It's got aliens on it, and Bigfoot and stuff like that. So we don't want to be labeled as one thing. We want to be able to cover all aspects of paranormal cryptids and all that stuff. But where I live too, in Oklahoma, Bigfoot's it's real big around this area,
Yeah, it
especially
is.
southern Oklahoma. That stuff we do get some shout outs and calls about they think they have a Bigfoot on their property. So we go check that out. It's funny because I've seen a Bigfoot, but it wasn't during an investigation. I was just driving through southern Oklahoma once and coming back home, and we saw one across the hallway.
Wow.
Yeah, it was me and a buddy. We were just coming back. It was just about dark, and then he was, I don't know, what do you say, maybe a city block in front of us, across the highway in 2 steps. And then you can tell it was something massive creature of some sort. It wasn't a person for sure. You can tell it had fur, but it went, I mean, it was across the highway, booming across the highway. And then we got up to about where he crossed. It was a big open field, nothing. He was gone. And that's the only time I've ever seen one. Not investigating him, but just driving.
But you know the
It was
difference. And what you saw in Bigfoot, the difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd been Bigfoot out there. It'd been different. I don't think for one I wouldn't have been as scared. But it's like earlier when we were started the interview, we talked about not being scared during investigations, which is absolutely true. But that was a purely terrified moment when we encountered whatever it was there. It was totally different. It was an environment. It was the feel of it. It wasn't necessarily seeing what we were seeing, but the feeling. And then when they surrounded us, I don't know, that was a trigger right there. It was like, we get the hell out of there. But whatever we were armed, we had guns. Like I said, I'm a big guy, but whatever it is, I know one, if it wanted to be dead, it would have got me. Two, if I would have shot it, probably just pissed it off. And then
Yeah.
three, it was all we were thinking about just getting out of there. But during investigations, we never had that. So never felt like I'm going to be just tossed around the room. Yeah.
So intriguing. Oh my gosh. This has been great.
Yeah.
If people want to know how to get a hold of you, like, where do we go?
Yeah, you can search for me, Jason Walker, on Facebook. My personal page, it's a black and white picture of me. Come across that. I post a lot of stuff on there about what we're doing and things, but not Terror Collective. Just search that on either Facebook or TikTok. We have a pretty big following on TikTok. We do on Facebook too, but I've been concentrating a lot more on TikTok, picking it up. But we do all of our investigations live. We're doing them so you can see what we're seeing at the same time. So that's cool. People love us doing that. And then again, just search like Facebook, TikTok, and then of course you said Jason Walker on Facebook.
Very cool. Thank you for this interview.
Thank you for listening to the NVus Alien Podcast. For show notes, go to the website www.nvusalien.com. All of the reference materials and mentions in this episode are linked there. If you want more witchy, paranormal, and fringe content, please subscribe to my Substack. Just search Heather Ashera, that's Heather Ashera, or check the link in the show notes. And as always, see you on the flip side.